Hello, my name is Dean Contover, and this is The Current Buzz. Thank you for watching today. We have Fred Merriam. He's the Chelmsford historian, and we probably could talk more than a half an hour about the history of Chelmsford. So we'll try to get to it, and he has some books, and I want you to check out the books. His most recent one is called Northwest Chelmsford.
North and West.
Huh?
North and West.
North and West, I'm
sorry.
Two
separate villages.
Two separate villages. There's 5 villages in Chelmsford. Can you name them all?
Right, east, south, north, west, and center.
Okay. All right, so we know the 5 villages. Center is the center of town. That's what people in Chelmsford stay up there. And I have another book, Stay Up There. This is Chelmsford Revisited. There was another book prior to that by the Historical Society.
Correct.
And this is the second book. And then we have, hold on, Chelmsford History of Chelmsford, 1910 to 1970.
Right. The book actually brings you up to 2011.
Okay.
But I didn't want to advertise 2011 because there's a 40-year gap between the about 1976 and the 2011 that's not covered. And of course, a lot happened in town. But what I did was, Eleanor Parkhurst was intending to get that book done for the town, at the town's request, the Board of Selectmen, in the bicentennial year 1976. And she and the committee had disagreements. She got busy as editor of the News Weekly. She couldn't finish it, so the manuscript went underground. So what happened was she had got it up to the point where, for instance, they demonstrated a desperate need to have a sewer system in town. They demonstrated a need to change the form of government from town meeting to some sort of a town manager system. But none of that had happened during her time. So what I was able to do was say, okay, between the time that this book ends and today, here's what really happened. We built the sewer system, it's finished. We now have a town manager, and here's who he is, and that includes Bernie Lynch and Paul Cohen. So it basically wraps up. Also, the senior center was built. So all the different things, significant things that happened between the end of Eleanor's time, which she started back around 1965 and stopped in 76. I was able to finish in an epilogue chapter and bring it up to date to where we are in this millennium.
Reading your books, I realized there was a North Chelmsford High School and a Center High School.
Correct.
And they merged in 1917.
Correct.
Right? So if they merged in 1917, and this is 2017, it's 100 years.
Exactly.
But the graduating class wouldn't be 2017. It would be 2018. Because it would be the next year if it started September of 1917.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I got that out of the way. Chelmsford was named after a town in Essex, England, right?
Yes.
And that's where we got the name from, in case people don't know where Chelmsford
I've actually
originated.
been there. My wife and
is that right?
We went to London for a week, and we took a side trip one day. It actually happened to be the Queen's birthday that day, and we were asking at the subway for directions to get to the train station, and the subway attendant said, "Why would anybody want to go to Chelmsford?" He said, "Everybody's coming to London today to see the Queen's birthday." So we were going opposite the flow of...
Now, did you take a train, or was it the underground?
It was about a 30-minute train ride.
Oh, that's all?
That's all.
Oh,
it's
wow.
a piece of cake.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a station right in Chelmsford, so you get off the train, and it's just a short walk to the center of the town. And it's actually a city now. In 2012, the Queen designated it as a city, so it's no longer the town of Chelmsford.
Oh, no kidding. So you mean it's a half an hour train? How much did it cost you? You remember how many pounds? Or
not very much.
Not very much, huh? Yeah, they have a good transportation system. Yeah. Oh, maybe I'll try that someday. If I get to London, I'll go to Chelmsford.
The center is a good walk around, and if you go online, you can find out a lot of history and old pictures and see what the center looked like in the past.
Yeah, I have gone online. Speaking of online, does Chelmsford Historical Society have anything online about Chelmsford?
The Historical Society has a very significant website.
Okay.
And it's growing. There are quite a few different categories, including photographs, glass negatives, postcards, and other categories of history. For instance, we have a library, and the library books are cataloged and summarized just so that you know what's there.
Okay.
Categorized, for instance, antiquing or crafts, things like that. And documents, we have some old Revolutionary era documents, a few Indian related documents, deeds, things like that.
Now you'll take donations, right?
We do. Actually, there's a membership section on the website, and on the membership page you can join, and there's also a place where you can make a donation either through PayPal or
Well, I'm taking donations of artifacts.
Oh, donation.
Yeah.
Well, that's basically the task of the Historical Society. Is it's a place where when people have family treasures or town-related, I won't say treasures, but town-related historical artifacts like photographs from any time 50, 100, 120 years ago, they get passed along through maybe 2-3 generations, and then people not sure what to do with them.
Yeah, well, they don't know what they are.
So they go on the website. Usually you look for a town's historical society, you find out where it is. They can contact us through the website. And there are a couple of us that take in the accessions, and we'll meet with the people and accept them. And then what we do is we catalog and number all the different items. And if they're photographs, for instance, my personal interest is photographs, and I'm still scanning and cataloging and getting these ready to put on the website. Now, for instance, just this week I scanned a set of pictures, about 34 pictures that were taken at Hart Pond in the 1940s by Mabel Pagnon, and she was the postmaster in South Chelmsford. And I put those on the website under the glass negatives. They're actually film negatives, but I put them under the glass negatives because it was appropriate. I have a section there on South Chelmsford. And these are spectacular photos. They were fairly large format film negatives. And she went all around Hart Pond in a rowboat with a camera, and she took pictures. So you can see the camps and the people all over Hart Pond. In fact, the town beach is there.
Wow.
There's one ice house that was still remaining in the 1940s. That's on the westward end of the pond. And these are spectacular photos. So I actually sent out on the Facebook Chelmsford News, I sent out an album, link to an album, and I had Mabel Pagnon's pictures, and then I had some pictures of my own that I've taken over the last 10 years or so, and I got some good feedback. People enjoyed seeing those.
All right. So in other words, if people have Army uniforms, they don't know what to do with them, or medals, they can donate them to the Historical Society. Or if they have pictures of their experiences in the military, you'll take them.
Well, last year we had a descendant of Lester Ball, actually related, like Lester Ball was an uncle, or great uncle. And it went down, because Lester and Adelaide didn't have any children, it went down through their nephew's family.
Right.
They had quite a number of artifacts, including photo albums. And one of the interesting military items was a belt buckle from the Civil War that was owned by George A. Parkhurst, who was a Civil War veteran. Not the George A. Parkhurst, who's a past president of the Historical Society, but his grandfather, George A. Parkhurst, who was the town clerk for many, many years back
so I should say
around 1900.
My belt buckles.
So here we have a genuine Civil War belt buckle.
Wow.
Now, so it's been sitting in a box, in a large box, and passed down from generation to generation. Now the folks are downsizing. Brad Perham, no, I'm sorry, not Brad Perham, that was a different accession. Can't quite remember his name, but this fellow and his wife were downsizing their house. They brought in several box loads of items, and that belt buckle was just one small military.
So I should give you my belt buckle when I was in the military, and you'll store it away. It's a brass belt.
Well, we actually have a military room at the
you
Historical
do?
Society, right?
All right.
And we have Civil War. Of course, during the Civil War, we had the Roby swords
Right,
and the
that's
Roby
what I
Sword
wanted to
Factory.
do. Explain Roby Sword Factory. I know.
In the village of West Chelmsford, which grew around 2 mill sites on the Stony Brook.
Okay.
Stony Brook also went into North Chelmsford and powered the mills in North Chelmsford. But in West Chelmsford, Roby built or he didn't build, he actually purchased an existing factory that made scythes from Farwell. In fact, I think it was Dean Farwell. And he converted to swords during the Civil War because the military needed quality swords.
All right.
And during the 4 or 5 year period, he built thousands of swords, and there's a lot of terrific information on the Historical Society website about the Roby factory and several pictures.
How much are those swords worth now?
Oh, they're very collectible. Depending on the condition, they could be anywhere from, let's say, $200 to $1,500.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, if it's in fairly bad shape, doesn't have a scabbard, for instance, you might pick one up for $200. They're still for sale on eBay.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, they come
Well,
up
how do you
every
know
now
they're
and then.
authentic? I mean,
Now, we actually have, over the last 2 years, we've had 2 swords donated. And how you know they're authentic is that they're stamped. There was a military inspector for the government, a government inspector. His initials are stamped on the sword, and it says C. Roby and Company, West Chelmsford, or W. Chelmsford. And so you know positively that it was made in West Chelmsford by the Roby Company, and we actually know who the inspectors were that stamped.
oh, no kidding. Another thing about Chelmsford ginger ale, this is a bottle from Chelmsford ginger ale. The label's off. It says Chelmsford on the top of the bottle. What can you tell us about Chelmsford ginger ale and what's going on there today?
Well, it started, let's see, what was his last name? Armstrong. C. George Armstrong, I believe his name was, and maybe Christopher George, but he was related to a fellow by the name of Byfield that had a factory in Chelmsford Center. Now, it was unusual. Chelmsford Center is not a factory village, but on the shore of the mill pond in the center of town, and right across from the railroad tracks that went right next to the mill, there was a 2-story brick factory. And this fellow had knitting on the first floor, and he had he built machinery on the second floor. That burned. Now, he had a relative by marriage. This fellow, Armstrong, was in Canada, Sussex, Canada, had worked at a beverage company. So he had the opportunity to pick up this burned out factory site in Chelmsford and come back. I think his wife was from the area, so he bought it. He actually salvaged a portion of the walls of that burned out mill and built the Chelmsford Spring Company. And there was a spring just off Robin Hill Road, up near the junction of Robin Hill and High Street. There's a spring site, and I talked to the people that own the land where the spring was, and they showed me it still produces water.
Oh, wow.
And we have a picture of, there was a shelter over the spring, and the spring got piped down and along the railroad tracks, kind of parallel to the railroad tracks, to the spring site, from the spring site, I should say, to the factory site. And I think it was about 7/10 of a mile run. And hopefully they didn't use lead pipes. But it was very
that's what's wrong with
pure and
Chelmsford.
good tasting water. Yeah. And from the spring water business, they branched out into ginger beer, and they sold it in stoneware jars, or stoneware
glass.
like this, bottles like this,
yeah.
right. But they made other things. For instance, I have 2 pencil holders that are like the cut-off stoneware jugs that say Chelmsford ginger ale.
Oh, no kidding.
Or ginger beer. And And they had promotional mugs. Also, I have one of those that they would pass around as a
Present
advertising.
day ginger ale company is
Well,
Bertucci's.
What happened was the ginger beer, because the stoneware couldn't be inspected, it was outlawed. And ginger beer didn't keep well in a glass bottle, even if it was tinted. So they had to switch recipes, and they started a ginger ale recipe. And the ginger ale was very popular. They sold over the New England area. They had distribution network. They had trucks. They had a good-sized factory. There's actually, about 1921, they took a big factory picture, a panorama. And if you go on the website, you can find the panorama. It shows all the trucks and all the personnel that worked there during that year. About 1929, I think it was, the Chelmsford Ginger Ale got bought by Canada Dry Company and became incorporated. And then somewhere in the 40s, they closed this plant down. They kept the ginger ale recipe for a while.
Right.
They decided not to sell it at some point. Schweppes Company up in Canada bought it, the recipe, and the rights to make it. So they made a very good facsimile of the Chelmsford ginger ale recipe. Then they decided to stop. I'm going to say 90s. It's actually detailed in the book.
Okay.
So Polar picked it up in Worcester.
Right. That's my understanding.
But the recipe was not pleasing to the locals that knew the real taste.
Oh.
So Bernie Reddy, who his nephew Joe actually runs the show here, weekly show on the CTM. Bernie wrote an article in the paper complaining that the recipe wasn't any good. It was like a 60 on a scale of 100 relative to the Schweppes and the original recipe. So the brewmaster at the Polar Company in Worcester got word about the article, and he called Bernie and said, "Hey, can you help me? You know, I'd be willing to improve the recipe if you can help me out." So Bernie's father, whose name is Bernard Reddy, he was an industrial artist and well-known person in town, and Dennis Reddy's father, Joe Reddy's grandfather. Bernard happened to have 2 bottles left over that were unopened. So they sent these 2 bottles to Polar, and they replicated the Schweppes recipe and got it up to, I'm not sure, it says in the book somewhere around 85% of the quality of the...
And you can still buy Chelmsford Ginger Ale in Market Basket.
Market Basket's the only one that sells it.
So go out and buy Chelmsford Ginger Ale. If you have friends coming from out of town, go buy it and give it to them. Let them take it home. It's a golden ale.
Golden ginger ale. It has more fizz than normal, and it really tickles your nose.
Yeah.
Whenever we have a historical society dinner event, we serve Chelmsford ginger ale.
Oh, good for you. Yes. Just try it. If you haven't tried it, go to Market Basket, and it'll be there in the Market Basket section of drinks, because they produce it, or they have the label. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, definitely. Chelmsford is a town of 34,000. 45 years ago, this year, Chelmsford had a tornado, and a lot of people don't know there was a tornado that came over from Tingsboro across the river and came through North Chelmsford. And there were 4 people injured, no deaths, and destructions of over 100 buildings.
Well, keep in mind it also hit, again, it came down in 2 places. It came down towards South Chelmsford off Concord Road.
Okay. And
I was living right on the south side of Concord Road. It hit on the north side of Concord Road. I think it was a hitching post and community, and it went down a street, I think it was Nevada, and it crossed Dakota and blew apart a house. Well, my story is my wife and I were visiting her parents in Stoughton, Mass., and we were driving back on Route 128, and we heard on the news that Chelmsford had been hit by a tornado, and it was kind of a disaster area. So we were thinking, oh my God, where is that relative to our house? So as soon as we got home, we took a drive around. We saw the house on Dakota. The roof had been blown off the dining area, the hutch was there and the dishes were all still in the hutch, but the roof was gone. And we heard later in the newspaper that the people were out for a walk when it came by.
Wow.
So they may not have been, or they may have been hurt if they had been in the house, not sure. But in back of the houses on the other street, a whole row of houses, all the pine trees got just blown over like matchsticks until it got to this one house, and it went right through the house. So then we took a ride up to North Chelmsford because we heard it hit there too,
Yeah.
and Duffy's Duffy's Auto Repair, I guess, took the brunt of it, and it was just blown apart. There were sections of walls and insulation all over town, and sections of walls, parts scattered all around. So we went up right after and saw that damage. And I guess you have a story about that part of it.
Well, it was a lot of tree damage and so forth. I mean, I was up there cleaning up the area, you know. I think they brought some people down from Fort Devens. I think Walter Hedlund got people from Fort Devens, if I remember correctly, and they brought some of the engineers that came down with their payloaders and, you know, helped out. It was pretty much of a disaster. And I think it caught the town off guard because no one expected a tornado, you know, in this area, even though we had the tornado in Worcester in 1950 and it killed 55 people.
I think it was 55. Yeah, that was a major.
That was a major tornado. So we do get tornadoes. But can you explain? You're on the Chelmsford Historical Commission, right?
Yes.
And explain what that does in town, because I'm sure a lot of people don't know. And if they want to go to a meeting, what night is it? Every Tuesday night?
No, it's the second Tuesday of the month.
Second Tuesday of the month, okay. And what goes on at the commission? This is different from the Historical Society.
Right.
Okay.
Well, just to give you background, 2003, my wife was in the historical. She was on the board at the Historical Society.
Right.
So I just tagged along. I went to help her out, and I met some nice people there. And one of the fellows was on this thing called the Historical Commission. Now, I had no idea what it was, and I had no concept, just like most people in Chelmsford are totally confused. Then he invited me to go to a meeting, and so it turns out it's a town-appointed committee.
Okay.
They're appointed by the town manager and approved by the selectmen. So the way they work it is you send an application into the town office. The town manager will read. It's like kind of like reading a resume and present it to the board of selectmen, and they'll take a vote if they need somebody to fill a slot. Like in my case, a lady had to resign. She and her husband actually were the ones at the lime quarry is named after. Gullion, Tori Gullion was her name, and her husband was involved in the state conservation level. Oh, okay. And so anyway, I replaced Tori Gullion on the Historical Commission. I had, at the recommendation of this friend in the Historical Society, I put in an application to the Historical Commission. So then when the Board of Selectmen meeting came up, I got approved, and I went to the meeting. It turns out they wanted me to do a website. Now, I wasn't working on a website for the Historical Society, and I'd never done a website. So I actually started website work for the commission. And this is the Wild West early days of websites. So I built one from scratch. Right. At work, at Raytheon, I enjoyed software. Right. That was kind of a hobby for me, not my main job. And so I really enjoyed.
How many members on the commission?
There are seven members on the commission.
Okay, and what is the jurisdiction?
The jurisdiction is the whole town, and generally it's to educate and inform the town about historical assets that we have in town, and if one is in danger of being destroyed or demolished, to bring it to the town's attention. We actually can hold a hearing. For instance, if we have a demolition request, I'll give you an example of one that's
well, we don't really have any time to tell you.
So when a demolition request comes up, we review it. If we think